Masechta Bava basra daf kuf memches. We're starting from 7 lines from the top. Iboy lahu. It should say middle of the line. Iboy. Zok the Gemara. Iboy lahu. The Gemara has the question. In the Bnei Yeshiva had a shayla. A shchimera, they gave a dekel le'echot. Uperiyas la'achei. He gave one guy the tree and one guy the paytas.
He died.
Ma, what's the din?
No, I didn't know.
Okay, whatever. He gave it as a matna shchimera. Yeah, or he could have died. Okay. Yeah. He gave it as a matna shchimera, or he could have. Yeah, it's not family.
But it says dekel. Does it mean he gave it or he said?
He gave the tree to one, and he gave the paytas to the other.
How did he give the tree?
What do you mean? The tree is yours.
It was matna.
It was makna. He's didn't shchimera. Yeah.
What's with the car over there?
That's a shaila if a person gives value yafa or not. That's the previous shaila. If he gets the karka beneath the tree or not. But if it's 3 trees for sure, 1 tree I'm not so sure.
Okay.
If he's a nice value yafa. But over here we're asking about he gave one guy the tree and one guy the paytas. What's the shaila over here? Mishi and makin payday. Because we said before he has to be able to by matana. He has to use the lashon tnu. Can't say you live there. Live there, you have to say you're giving him the house to live there, but you're giving. So here, what did he give him? So do we want to know? It wasn't yet there on the tree. So do we say he gave him the place from where that part of the tree belongs to the person from of the paydays, because he gave him that part of the tree where the paydays grow up.
So the other guy can go pick the payers on his
So
tree?
he can pick the paydays on the tree. Yeah. Not only that it's not a davar shlei balaylam. That space where it grows out
If
from.
this guy gives the pairs, what does he need a tree for?
Who? No, he gets a right to go and tell you because the guy said, "Don't touch my tree."
No, but he gives you the pairs.
He gives them the paytas,
And when the guy from the tree
but the paytas is on the tree.
Right.
So he gives the muckim from where the paytas grow, so he can take it out.
What's the guy with the tree go to the
He gets the wood for the tree. If he decides, he can cut
he
the
didn't say
piece
the
of
tree.
wood.
Shade, you sit under the tree.
That's
Or
a
shade, whatever it is. Yeah. So, well, for wood here it says leitza. So the Gemara, maybe he didn't leave him over that space in the tree, and therefore it's only fruits. He gave him nothing. If you're going to say if you're going to say he doesn't get the place where the paytas grow out from, then you're going to say he didn't leave him over. Or Mela, the second guy wasn't kind of the paytas because the paytas wasn't there. He didn't give him the place on the tree, so it's a davar shlei balaylam, right? So how about la'atzma? What's if he said, I'm giving away the tree except for the paytas? So by himself, will we say for himself he's be'ayin yafa? He leaves himself
Who says
the-
it now? Shiva?
the shchimera or even a body. He gives a matana, but he says, I'm leaving for myself the paytas. Did he leave for himself not just the paytas or even the mucking from where the paytas come out from? So we're going to say, Mistame, he wanted to be kind of the paytas, and he did it by yafa. He left for himself the place on the tree should belong to him from where the paytas come out from.
So what is he on? The branch?
From the place where the branch from where it comes out of the tree. I'm gonna have Nachman if you even conclude that let's say you're gonna conclude if he gave one guy the tree and one guy he gave the fruits that will go in the future, and you're gonna say he didn't give him the part of the tree together with the fruits, right? He didn't leave him the makim, so that means he wasn't kind of the payday. How about dekalach?
What was his purpose of saying that you get the payers?
He thought,
I'm giving you a gift, but you're not getting it.
but he thought he doesn't know that. You know that. Besdin tells him it's nothing.
Look up
Umdana is right, but here it doesn't go by umdana. He gave it to him, but it's a davar shlei balaylam. He couldn't have given it. It's against what the Torah says. You can't be marking something that's not here. How about if he takes it a step further? Not to la'ache. He left the paytas for himself. So do we say when he left the paytas for himself, shashi and makim payday? He left the makim from bottom the paytas coming out of He left the space on the tree for himself. Because a person for himself, my time, why for himself should it be different? Because kol legabin havshei, any matana that a person leaves for himself, he leaves it with with a good eye. So obviously he left for
We always
himself.
say kol nice and bayin yote nice. Isn't that a klal that we
It's a
accept?
machlekes. We said.
Pretty much accept it.
There's a machlekes. It depends where. Anyway, Amalei Rabbi Abba Abashi. Rabbi Abba said to Abashi, Anan. This whole suffix we learned that the Reb Shimon Lakish Masnin Allah. We learned this diyun, this shaila, b'yachas to the words of Reb Shimon Lakish. The Reb Shimon Lakish, Amecha Bais Lechavere. They applied it to his din, which this suffix. Somebody who sells a house to his friend, Amalei Amanasha Diyaita Yenam Shali, on the condition that the upper floor is mine. The attic floor, the second upper floor. So l'chayda, we don't need Reish Lakish was an Amida. The Mishnah says if somebody sells a house, he's only selling the bottom floor. He's not selling the top floor. The chlal. So what does Reish Lakish come to add? We'll soon see. The Yuta Ayen Shalai, the upper floor says. So the money is Tashayla. Here, when they get to this, Reish Lakish brought this din down. He says the house belongs to one person. And the upper floor belongs to another person. Mao, what's the din? Me have a she or a lay? Do we say the guy on the top floor, usually the guy on the bottom floor, he gets the whole chutzah together with the floor, the whole yard. The guy on the top floor, since we didn't need the Shlakish to tell us this din, I mean, it's a Mishnah. So by him stating that this house should go to him and the upper floor should go to the next guy, do we say he meant to say that he's getting more than just the upper floor? That he could extend beams over the chutzah, over the avei chutzah from his friend, like he says, that the beam should be able to come out of his wall, covering the chutzah from the guy on the bottom. If you're going to say when he gives a house to one and the upper floor to the other, he didn't give him the right to be able to extend his beams. Says the Gemara, how about if he says chutz mediyuta? If he gave the one house to one, and he said that I'm giving you the house except for the top floor. He added the word chutz. Ma, what's the din? In such a case, since he left it for himself, now we're talking about himself. So since he left it for himself, so I would say, oh, maybe it's different. Or if you're going to say when he split it, he said the bottom floor goes to one guy, and he gets the chutzah too, and the upper floor goes to another guy. The upper floor cannot use except for the top floor. He cannot extend beams. How about chutz midiyuta v'shiyur? When he says except for the upper floor, surely there's a matan over here. The chutz midiyuta is extra. What are you coming to tell us? So the Gemara is telling us, chutz midiyuta meaning he's leaving for himself. So it goes according to Abzvid. That what? The Omar, that this that Reb Shimon Lakish said in the previous Amid, if he said Amanas Shetiyuta Yenishali, right? Is Sheim Ratzalahitzi Bazizin. He's saying extra words. Because without saying Amanas, we know that the upper floor is his. That he's come to teach that he could still, that he's allowed to use it. Alma given the Shia, the Yuta. So we see from here, since the Meicha himself said that he's leaving the upper floor for himself, Mekayim Zizan Amin Shia. His kavanah was that he should be able to use the beams covering the chutzah on the bottom floor. Here too, when he said the extra words chutz, except is teaching us that he not only the payers did he give him, but he gave him the makim from where the payers grow out. The branches too. Here he says, I'll just read. Shalosh Amanas, which is a lashon tanai, a lashon chazak. By saying the extra words Amanas, he obviously left himself for the upper floor to be able to use beams that cover over the bottom chutzah. Bilashon tanai. Okay. Anyway, Rav Yosef ben Yumi, Rav Nachman. Rav Yosef ben Yumi said in the name of Rav Nachman, Shchid Merah, Shekasav kol nechasim la'achedim. He wrote all his nechasim should go to other people.
But he had no relatives, nothing?
Huh?
He had no mishpachah?
No mishpach. He gave it to other people. He divided it between a
So
whole
it's
bunch.
possible he gave his kids already matanas. Therefore, this was whatever.
Was
That
left
goes,
over. It could be
he
anything.
says goes to, you know,
He was a rich guy, he could do it.
So he wrote all his nechasim. He started to divide all his nechasim between many people. Rayim, we look im b'mechalik. If lechatchila his mind was to get rid of all his
Right.
nechasim, and then Mace
He died.
he died. Then kana kulam. Everybody was kinda the chelik that he gave each one.
When he said before, right?
Oh man, but what's if he recovered? Chayze b'kulan. He can go to all of them and take it all back because he
So
gave it.
It's very embarrassing.
But he's alive. He said, "I'm sorry. I only gave it because I thought I wasn't going to be in this world, but I'm here. I'm here to take my stuff back." Bye-bye.
I'm saying that when you're going to die, you'll go back to, you know, you're not going to back out later.
Right. Says the Gemara in ben nimlach. But if you see lechatchila, he was hesitant. He didn't want to give it all. And then Mace, Kanakulan, everybody gets it.
What do you mean, what do you mean,
He started to give a little bit and he stops. And then he gave the rest. He wasn't sure. So it's Gemara Ahmed, and then he recovered. He doesn't. He only could retract from the last one because the first ones that he gave and he stopped, right? So it's like he gave twice. He gave the first guys. When he gave the first guys, it was matana because there was leftover stuff.
I see you got a little tan.
And the second one when he gave it, the second one was to take away all his nechasim. So the second present that he gave, which was going to wipe him out, that's the one that he can get back if he recovers. The first one he can't get back because there was leftover, so it was a real matana. So Dilma, how do you know that he paused it into two matanis? You understand what we just said? When he paused it into two matanis, we say if he recovered, he cannot take back from the first guy because the first guy was a real matana. He didn't give everything away. He gave part of it away and part was left over because he gave it to somebody else. But the second guy that got it, he could take everything away because he wiped him out. The one that wipes him out, he only did it to let himself get wiped out because he thought he's not going to be here. But if he recovered, he needs him out.
So the
First one is a real matana. He can't. Is a real matana. So but Dilma, how do you know he split it into two? Why are you saying that he split it into two? Maybe it was one. He takes back from everybody. It was one big matana that he was ready to give everything away. Why did he stop? He was contemplating what should he give the next present to whom. So he stopped. Maybe this one deserves this one. So he was. That's why he took a little bit of time. Not that he meant not to give the whole thing in one shot. And then then he gave it, but not. But lechatchila was all to everybody in one shot.
If he says that he's giving everybody an equal share, then you can't say that he's mine.
No, but we're talking about that. But he gave everyone something else. Says you want to stop at the shimana made a gdayik. You can't say that he was hesitant because he had to think what to give next to whom. He says because the stam shimana already calculated everything ahead of time. What he's going to give to whom. And then he gives it. But here, he knew who he's giving to what, which thing to what, to whom. But he stopped. That means he broke it up into two. So the first part was a real matana. The second part is not a matana. I mean, if he recovers, he could say, I gave away my whole life. I mean, the second part, I only did it because I thought that he thought he's not going to be here. I wrote all his nechasim to another person. And then he recovered. He cannot get it back. We just said before, if he gives all the nechasim, his intention was because he thought he's not going to make it. Why over here not? Says because we have to be concerned. Maybe he has other nechasim in another medina. So therefore,
he has what to live.
He gave it. It's a real matana. What?
Stretch of the imagination that he's giving away. Oh, maybe he has something in
And that's why the
China.
matana. Maybe. Look, I always thought my shver has only in California. Now he has one shiur. Starting to look up his stuff, but I'm joking. It's like the Yimada. Only our Mishnah, our Mishnah, im loishir kaka kol shul. it says if he didn't leave even a little bit of karka, then you have to give him back if he recovers the whole thing. How could you ever find such a case? Maybe he has a Timbuktu with another property. You just said something that threw a wrench, and you can never, even if a person recovers, should never be able to get back his nechassim, even though he gave everything away. Because we're going to say to him, not sure, maybe he gave everything away here, but not over there. You know the story.
How many things do you have?
I asked about a girl. So I said, is she a good girl? Does she watch movies? Not in Crown Heights. Not in Crown Heights. Now here you're saying he doesn't have kaka in Crown Heights.
Is that
What
a
do
true
you?
story?
Huh? Yeah. Omer sagt die Mother. Omer Rav Chama. Rav Chama Rav Chama said.
Yes, but the Chosn's also same thing.
My how do you call it? My well, I took all the items already for my son, my mom, for my daughters.
No, is
I need the girls.
No, the girl.
I need the 5 girls. Omer Rav Chama.
That many? Wow.
5 boys to go. Omer Rav Chama had said. That says Befedish Kona, not right now, but as the time comes. I'm saying not all one shot. So what did Rav Chama say? In the case of a Shchimera, who says Befedish, Kol Mechasa, he's saying, he says everything I have everywhere, so it's done. So now, in such a case, if he passes away, then we have to give him back the property, because when he said Kol Mechasa, Kol means wherever it should be. Yeah. Yeah. We know for a fact he doesn't have any more. It's done. Sagt die Gemara, die Gemara gefragt hat Shaila, Chazar b'miktsas, Havi Chazar b'kula oilai. What happened? The Shimon that wrote all his nechassim to one person. Then he decided, nah, I want to give part away to this guy, some to another guy. And we had in the Gemara before, Kuf Lamed Hey, that the Yatiki, Vatel is the Yatiki. The document of Shchimena, or whatever its Tzibur is, he can be Mevat, what he said before. So he said before he's giving everything to Reuben, and now he says, Chvilishal to Reuben, Chelik to Shimon. Okay.
What's the question?
So now when he says, I'm giving a Chelik to Shimon, he retracted, now Reuben gets nothing? Or it's a deduction out of Reuben's what he wants to give to Reuben, and that goes to
That's what it
Shimon.
sounds like, no?
We're not sure. Chazar b'miktzas, how did Chazar b'kula? If he retracted in part of it, do we consider it's a retraction of the whole thing? Or perhaps
But
not.
if he said it, maybe.
Doesn't matter. We don't know what he wants. But that a klaus.
He's gonna die soon, so how are we gonna figure it out?
He says, but that a klaus, he could retract. So what's the problem? He gave it already, right? And then he retracted. Once he took away some, we're not sure. What is he showing? He's retracting completely or not? That's the shayla. Okay. Zog Gemara Tashma K'menher. I'll bring you a raya. Shchimera that wrote Kulan Larisha. He says, all my nechasim should go to Reuven. And then Umiktsas Lasheni. And afterwards he retracted. He says, I want part to go to the second guy, to Shimon.
And nothing for him, nothing for him.
No, he's passing away. He's a Shchimera. You know the story I told you with the guy who's passing away. That the son, he told the son he's passing away. He's leaving him all nechasim. But his son said, look, you're passing away, but I don't know, he doesn't know if he'll be able to sit Shiva in those days that he's going to pass away. It's a big problem.
There's a lot of property to give.
No, I have it in Macy's and Dutton, and he can't take off. So he wants to ask the Rav if he could prava Shiva now. Well, before the father passed away, he's going to pass away. But he'll be Makayim, Shiva Yetz. So the Rav said...
She was through her life. Was she still alive?
While he's still alive, so the Rav
He
said...
considers him like a dead person.
So the Rav said, yeah, you can go. You can still prava Shiva. So the father hears. So the father has a shaila. So the father comes to Rav, if he could be Menachem Oval, his son, doing the Shiva. Anyway, he's like,
Everybody's worried for the
Der Schimmerer allein will wissen, er soll kommen nach Hause sagen von der Sohn. Wegen sich allein. Okay, anyway, ich weiß, jemand gefragt nach Scheile. Chazara b'mikzas, habe ich Chazara b'kulei. Like, okay, Toshma, come in, I'll answer you. So in the Braisa we learned that a Shchimera said, Kulan Larishan. All my nechasim should go to Reuven. Umiksasim l'Sheni. And part should go to Shimon. Sheni kana.
This is me.
The Sheni was kind of whatever the Shchimera said. Rishon like kana.
Why?
Oh, let's see why. Because let's understand. The first one, the Shchimera wanted to give everything away. He gave everything away. That means he left nothing for himself.
But
So,
he
but
changed his mind.
no, but he didn't take anything for himself. Then he changed his mind. He gave some to the Sheni.
Right.
So when the Sheni got it, right, the Sheni didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah,
So he got only a little bit. So his matana remains matana even if he recovers.
right.
The first one when he gave it to give away everything.
And he recovered.
And he recovered. So from the first one he could take back, but the second one he can't. Because he didn't leave so much by the Sheni that he shouldn't be able to survive. So the Gemara, Sheni kana v'rishon kana. My love, b'shchimera shemes. We're talking about a shchimera that died from his sickness. And since the Braisa teaches the first one doesn't receive anything, proves us that the first matana was nisbat legamri because of the second matana. So what? So im namish chazar b'mikzah zayin achshav chazar gemura ma'matan sarishaynis im kain. If we're talking about that he died, why shouldn't he get it? The shchimera. If the shchimera died,
Right.
so the first one should get it.
Because he gave it to him.
He gave it to him. He took it to the
How
doctor.
about the second guy that said
He should get his. They should both be kind. Why do you say
So
only
how much should the first guy get? You said
3
cool
quarters?
for the
First he said
And
kula.
then I mixed this
Then he
with
deducted a little bit and gave it to Sheni. Says the Gemara, if it's a shchimera that didn't make it back, he died. So who's kaina? Only the second one. The first one is not kaina. Why is the first one not kaina? Obviously, when he changed his mind to give some to the Sheni, he was mavatal the whole thing that he gave to the Rishon. Says Gemara, no, it's not a raya. It's talking about Bishamad, that the Shchimera recovered from his sickness. Why do we say the Rishon is not kaina?
Well,
Okay.
Because he recovered.
Sharish Leikana, that's because the Matnas Rishon, when he gave the first matana, was without anything,
It was like a shchimera.
like a shchimera, but without anything left for himself.
So therefore it was like a
And
regular
then it became
shchimera.
better.
And now he became better, so he's allowed to take that back. So therefore the shchimera could back out of it when he gets out.
What about the mixes?
The mixas he can, because the mixas was a matana. The Gemara is going to ask anyway. The mixas was part of the whole. Anyway, he shouldn't get it back. The Gemara will ask later on. So the Gemara Hachanam Mistabra. So too, it's reasonable to say the Braisa is talking about that the Shchimera recovered. Why? Miniktani Sefer from this that the Braisa learns in the second part that the Shchimera wrote Miktsasam Larishe. Part of Nechasim go to the first one, and then he wrote the Kulan Lasheni.
That was the opposite.
Now it's the opposite. And then he said the whole thing should go to L'Sheni. Arishain, meaning the Kula means the rest. Arishain Kana, the first one is going to be Kaina, because when the Shchimera gave him a little bit, there was still left over for him.
It's like a matana.
It's like Sheni Loy Kana, but the Sheni is not Kaina because he gave everything up.
But
The
he
second
left
part of
himself.
Matana, he left nothing for himself. So obviously he did that because he thought he's not going to recover. But if he recovers, he takes it back. That it's a shchimera that recovered. That's why the second one is not kaina, because he gave away everything to the sheni. So how's he expected to survive? He did it only because he thought he's not going to live. It's a shchimera that died. They should both be kaina, the first and the second. So you have to say the Sefer of the Braisa is talking about that the shchimera recovered, and that's why the Reish is talking about also the shchimera recovered. And when we say the shchimera recovered, that's why in the Sefer we said the second one is not going to be kaina because when he gave everything away, so there was no way of him to survive, so he takes it away from the Sheni. And in the same for Ereisha, where he gave Kulan Rishon, the reason, and he recovered, so the Rishon doesn't get it because Rishon Laikana, because he gave everything away because of the Rishon. So if he recovers, he gets it back. Amalei Rav Yemei Ravashi, v'tehemi nami. Even if the whole Bryce is talking about Sha'amad, that the Shechimara recovered, we still could learn from the Reisha, the din of Chazar b'mikzas. You can learn out from the Reisha, the din of Chazar b'mikzas. Iyamid b'shleima Chazar b'mikzas, havya Chazar b'kula. If you say Chazar b'mikzas is a retraction completely, I know the Sheni mi is kana, meaning that when the Braisa says in the Reisha that the Sheni is kana, right? But the Shechimah wrote him because he was chayzer from the first matana. He wrote kol nechasim lerishain, and then he gave part of the matana to the second one, and then he wrote mixas nechasim l'sheni, right? So once he wrote a mixas matana l'sheni, so he retracted from the first one. Aliyamot chazar be'mixas lo yahav chazar be'kula. But if you're going to say that when he retracts by giving a little bit away to the second guy, he didn't retract from the first guy, Nahavi, let it be considered like a Shchimarad, the Chalek, who's dividing all the Nechasim, Lechad V'nai, Eloi Nichnu, and neither of them should be Kaina. Should be like he gave all his Nechasim to all of them. Even though he gave to the first one everything, and then he decided to give part to the second one, why should only the first one be Kaina and not the second?
No,
Again,
not the person's.
you say the first one he can take it back, and the second one he can't. L'chayra, if you can
What did he say to the second?
mixas. So if you're gonna say when he's chazar b'mixas, it's not mevatel what he gave to the rishain, right? So let's consider him as a guy who's distributing all his nechasim to everything out, and therefore the
first one, he
halacha
said
should
kula. He said everything to the first one, right?
It's the second guy.
what
What did he say to the first one?
kula l'rishain, and then mixas l'sheni.
And Ahmad.
And then it was Ahmad. So the shaila here is we said that Rishain has to give it back.
Well, the second one.
Second one is Kaina. Neither of them should be
Give it
Kaina.
back.
Because if you say that the Mixas is not Mevatel the Rishain, consider him as if he was giving everything out. He was distributing. He made a mistake. He gave too much here. He took it away a little bit, he gave to the next one. But he was giving everything out in one shot. So if he was giving everything out in one shot,
It should also be like he's Ahmad.
he's part of the whole thing, the whole
We
picture.
don't look at it as matana. We look at it as part of
A part of the picture that he distributed everything away,
So
and he
you
left
have to-
nothing for himself. He should be able to take everything back
For both of it.
for both. Yeah.
No, the first is no shiloh, right?
What?
The first is no shiloh, and he said kula. He said
Right. But even though the second one is part of the, we said it's not mevatel the first one, so it's part of the distribution. He's part of the whole picture. Says Gemara v'Hilchasa Chazar b'Mixas Havya Chazar b'Kula. That once he said Kula Narishain, and then he gives Mixas l'Sheni, he's mevatel the whole kinyan from the Rishon. He has
he
nothing.
messed it up, right?
Right. Reisha mashkachasla. He says the Reisha you'll find that it's so. Bein shemeis, bein shamad. Whether it's in the case where the Shechimah died or whether he
Still alive.
recovered.
What was the ratio?
Reisha of the Brayso we learned if he gave kol nechasim l'risha umiktsasam l'sheni, right? That's called chazar b'miktsas. We said the rishain is not kaina and the sheni is kaina.
That's what we said.
Sai if he recovered, and Sai if he died. Okay, because he was mapatel. The first one's kinyan became this battle by giving mixas to the sheni. Okay, that's the halacha. And then he says seifa le mashkachas la. But in the seifa you can't find ela kishamad, only where he recovered. What's the seifa? That if he gave mixas nechasav to one, right, to Rishain, the rest of the nechasim he gave to say sheni. The Rishain is kana, and the sheni is not kana. So how do you explain why is the second one not kana? So he says because it's talking about the Shechimah recovered from his sickness.
So he needs
The
himself.
second one gets
So therefore he can retract from the second matana because the second matana is what depleted him. So the second matana he says, look, I allowed you to deplete me out of all my nechasim because I thought I'm not going to be here, but I recovered, so I want it back.
First one is a matana.
First one is a matana because he left over when he gave the first one, there was left
No,
over
as soon as he said-
nechasim for
No, as soon as
himself.
he said this is to the second one, he's leaving open.
Right. Before he gave it to the second one, he had left over. Okay. What's if he was magdish all his nechasim? And then he recovered. What's the din? Could he say, hey, I gave you, I was magdish all nechasim. I can't give you everything I need to live.
I mean,
He didn't
also
say I
what
need
Hagdish
it.
keeps it also.
What's that? Oh,
Hagdish
that's
ain't going back.
Me, kol lagabe hegnish gomel makni. We say it's gemidas kinyan. Like you said, I mean, as lehegnish, as lehedjit.
You can't go
But
back.
here he wants to say when somebody gives a matana to hegnish, it's not like a matana to a regular a person. His mind is belev shalom to give it to hegnish. Like dilma kol lagabe nafshei, loy gaba makni. Anything that's negaya to a person's Kashana, he's not gomel makne. Like it says, ani betzedek echse. You ever hear that? I see righteousness, but betzedek is our shetaydas beats to the kashanas. To the pocket is kol. So kol legaben avshei loy gomel makne.
The person's not truly magdish.
He's not makne wholeheartedly. He says
Even though it was a hagdish, you
When
could
you give
still
charity,
have
you're not really magdish.
maybe it's a shayla. He's not sure.
So therefore, when you give charity, it's not really that you want to give, but you have no choice because.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Talking about it, if somebody was makdish all his nechasim, he cannot back out. So how about im hivke kol nechasim ma'u? What's if he was mafkir? He says, I just don't want to deal with it. He's mafkir all nechasim. Mia kiva. Since the hefker helps aflanim kashirim to the anim as well as the ashirim, so gamo makne, he for sure was makne muchlit with a complete decision.
What does that have to do with poor people here? A person
No,
who
he's
could be
saying
magdish
he's
building
not.
election.
No, he says ma'achashein maknes and the chasim al the mesuyim. He's mafkir to whoever wants to be zeicha, right? His kavanah was that he just doesn't want to have to do with it, right? He doesn't want to have any anah from it. Shein dait lahanis oid mahem. He doesn't want to have any more anah. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to return. That's how he's showing.
He's getting from
Oy dilma, or perhaps
He's getting Medicare.
kol legabe nafshei legabe makne, or perhaps everything that's negayah to a person, he never really gives it away. Chilik kol nechas lanim. If he gave all his nechas lanim, what's the din? Mi aminu letzedakah vade migma gomer makne. For tzedakah, azam mitzvah, he gave it all away. Oy dilma kol legabe nafshei legabe makne. Or perhaps when it's negayah to the kashnas, a person is not mamish agmid nas. Teiko. The shayla stein nasafik lish nachrina. They said it in short. Hikdish kol nechasam. If somebody was makdish, this is in short. What's going to be the din? Hivke kol nechasam. If somebody was makdish, all his nechasim. Mao, what's going to be the din? And chilik kol nechasam. Mao, what's going to be the din? Teiko. Yeah. Amar Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes said, Yitel, the Yisker, the Yaksik, the Yikna, Kulam, Lashon Matana. You see, Yadur is not a Lashon Matana. You can live in Yadur Babai, Zol 11 Nishtub, like we had before. That's not good. He has to give him the house, nice and Lakeich Bayis, Ladur Roy. That, yeah. But he says these Lishenis are good. Yitel, the Plainis of Nemen and Nechasim. As all the Yisker, the Zeichazayim, the Yaksik, as all
He
Maksik
gives
Zayim.
it to the hand. No?
He doesn't even have to get, but the lashon, it has to be such a lashon. Masnin Satana, in the Brais we learn, Af Yachsin. Yachsin means he should inherit. The Yedas is a Nacha lashon Yerusha, is a Yirash. These are lashenis that help for Shchimera. Be'roi le'yarshay. These words were said by in a case where the Makabel was a Roi le'yirash. And the Brais holds Kab Yechem ben Breikei. Like Rabbi Yechim ben Breika, that we brought a machlokes when a person says Ish Pleni Yerashani, the Tanakama says it's worthless because he's being Masna Mashakas Batera. He didn't give it Betes Matana, he gave it Betes Yerusha, and there's
Give a Yerusha to a stranger, right?
right.
Only family.
Okay, so it has to be Rabbi Yesh. Okay, we'll stop here. That will be for tomorrow.
Yeah.